Yo, what's going on, guys? My name is Alex, and welcome back to another episode of our nightly recaps. Tonight we had 3 games on. First one was Hawks versus Celtics, and then we had Cavs versus Knicks. And the last game that we had of the night was Suns versus Clippers. We're going to start out with the first 2 games, though, because I don't really have a lot to say about these games. So we'll start off with the Atlanta Hawks and the Boston Celtics. The Atlanta Hawks are just not good enough to beat the Celtics. I think most people predicted them to probably be swept by the Celtics, and a big reason why is just the Celtics are just way bigger. Defensively, they're one of the best in the league, and offensively, they're also one of the best in the league. And with the Hawks, I think you have players like Trae Young and DeJounte Murray who can be very good offensively, but I think sometimes they can be a little bit inconsistent, especially Trae Young. And we saw that in game 1 when they were pretty much down 30 points in the first half. They did kind of bring it back, but in this game too, Trae Young again just was not performing up to what he really needs to be. Only 9 of 22 from the field. He had 24 points. He was a minus 18 for the game. He also had 5 turnovers. That's just something that Trae Young can't do. He has to be more efficient. He can't be 2 for 8 from the 3-point line. He has to be better there. He has to be able to make smarter decisions. And to be honest, I think a lot of times it's bad decisions, but it's also just the Celtics defense. But ultimately, what this game came down to was just, again, the Celtics just being a better team. They shot really well from 3. They went 15 of 33, 45% from the 3 in this game. And that's ultimately what sealed up the game in the fourth quarter, was just open threes. Again, the Hawks just cannot contain the Celtics offense. So I would expect, even with Atlanta being at home, this is probably what we should expect for these next 2 games, and hopefully the Boston Celtics can just get rid of the Hawks, because I don't want to have to keep watching these games. Next up, let's look at the second game of the night, which was the Cavaliers versus the Knicks. And this one kind of started off really bad again for the Cavs. Now, I didn't watch the first game of Cavs versus Knicks because I did go in person to go see the Kings Warriors game 1. But from what I saw, at least on Twitter and just looking at the highlights, seemed like the Cavs just straight up got outworked. I know definitely on the boards and second chance points. That was something that was in the Knicks' favor. That was something that the Knicks didn't capitalize on again. And the Cavs definitely did not get punked this time around. And it's all thanks to Darius Garland. Darius Garland, I believe, had 26 points in the first half. He went to the free throw line 11 times and made 10 of them. It's a big reason why the Cavs were up 20 points in the first half. And the surprising thing is, Donovan Mitchell in that first half only shot 4 times, but Donovan Mitchell really impacted the game in the first half on his playmaking. He saw Darius Garland and the way he was playing, and he's like, all right, bro, I'm gonna let you cook. I'm gonna dish it out to you. And Darius Garland hitting threes, being very aggressive towards the rim. Caris LeVert also stepped up. Isaac Okoro got into early foul trouble and really didn't even come back into the game at that point. And Caris LeVert went 3 for 6 from 3 in the first half. And the Cavs defense truly stepped up. Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen were not messing around this game. They held the Knicks to 39 points in that first half, and once we got to that halftime, I mean, the Knicks certainly did not have much of a chance. I'm currently recording this before the game is officially over, but right now Donovan Mitchell is at 17 points, and again, he shot only 4 shots in the first half. He's ending this game with 11 total shot attempts, and he had 13 assists. That is an incredible game from Donovan Mitchell. And Caris LeVert ended this game also with 24 points, shot 4 of 9 from the 3-point line. And the Cavs defense, again, just really did their job. They also won the board battle. Evan Mobley had 13 rebounds, Jarrett Allen had 10. So overall, just a really solid win, especially after pretty much getting punked in that first game and losing their first home game. You got to split the games. There's just no way they would have been able to honestly win the series if they had went down 0-2 and then have to go play in New York. So this definitely betters the odds. I still have the Cavs favored in the series. Again, what I saw defensively, I think, is the big reason why they will end up winning this series. But the Knicks have to adjust how they go against this Cavs defense in game 3, or else they just won't have a shot, because right now there's 2 minutes left in the game pretty much, and they've only scored 82 points. That cannot happen. And for our last game of the night, and it was the best game of the night, we got game 2 of the Clippers versus Suns. And to start off, I actually thought both teams were doing a really solid job at defending each other's stars, especially Kawhi Leonard on KD. It seemed like Kawhi was just fronting KD and making sure that KD doesn't even get the ball. The Suns were also doing a really good job at just doubling Kawhi and making him into a playmaker, and I would say Kawhi did a really good job. He had 5 assists, I believe, in that first quarter of the game. So Kawhi did a really good job just, getting away from those double teams and finding the open guy like Eric Gordon and even Russell Westbrook, who had a phenomenal game yet again, especially in the scoring department. The Suns were having some silly turnovers in the first quarter. Then we get to the second quarter and the Clippers started to make a really nice run, and it just so happened to be with their small ball lineup, and it was kind of like an ultra super small lineup because they had like Westbrook, Terrence Mann, Norman Powell, and then they had Batum and Kawhi out on the court, and they got up to like a 12 or 14 point lead. And then just by the end of the second quarter, Devin Booker was just torching by those defenders. Ended up being a tie game at the half. And then you get into the third quarter and Devin Booker just yet again was just going off and off and off. KD was also doing his own thing. And thankfully for KD, this game, he definitely took a lot more shots than he did last game. I think in game 1, KD took like 14 or 15 shots. He still took 19. It is up. I think you do want to see a little bit more out of him, but Devin Booker was really cooking, so it's honestly kind of good that most of those shots did go to Devin Booker, who shot 22 shots this game, made 14 of them, ended the game with 38 points. KD ended the night with 25 points, and shout out to DeAndre Ayton, Torrey Craig, and Chris Paul, who all were starters in this game. So all 5 of the starters just played phenomenal. Torrey Craig was 5 of 6 from 3-point land. DeAndre Ayton made like 4 mid-range shots in a row, I believe, like in the second or third quarter. Chris Paul was hitting all of these crazy mid-range shots. He was looking like vintage Chris Paul, at least vintage Chris Paul in terms of when they were making that finals run in 2021. So everyone on the Suns really played great, and I think overall they played a great defensive scheme against Kawhi to kind of turn him into a playmaker, and by the end of it, the Clippers just couldn't fully capitalize. Even though Westbrook, again, like I said earlier, had a phenomenal game. He ended this game with 28 points. He shot 9 of 16 from the field. Only had 3 turnovers, which is pretty good for Westbrook. Kawhi ended the game with a 31 bomb, 11 of 20 from the field, and even with all the double teaming that he did have to face, he only had 3 turnovers. So again, shout out to Kawhi. Kawhi is definitely another beast when he gets into the playoffs. But I think my biggest takeaway from this game is once we got into that fourth quarter, I really started to realize for some reason the Clippers were playing drop coverage with Zubac whenever KD or Devin Booker had the ball, and that's ultimately what I think lost them this game. If you're the Clippers, you can just not allow Devin Booker or KD to just get super wide open looks because you're playing drop coverage, and that has a lot to do with Zubac being on the court and his limitations on the defensive end. That's why when the Clippers went small in the second quarter, I actually thought they did a really good job not only playing defense, but they were just out rebounding them as well, and they were able to capitalize with those defensive rebounds or offensive rebounds, and they were able to score off of those. But when we got to the fourth, that small ball lineup just didn't really work the same as it did in that second quarter, and I think it was just kind of too little too late because Devin Booker, even in the third quarter, before we even got to the point where I realized Zubac was a big problem for the Clippers, I mean, Devin Booker was still cooking. So now you have Zubac in a drop coverage and Devin Booker was just going to hit threes. There's one particular play as well where Chris Paul was literally matchup hunting Zubac, and he's able to get a mid-range shot, and that goes in, and that virtually just kind of seals the game for the Suns. So it'll be interesting to see how the Clippers respond to that, because I think we still will see Zubac in the series, maybe not as much, but it's going to be interesting to see if the Clippers small ball lineup can continue to play like they did in that second quarter, because if they're going to look like what they did in the fourth quarter, man, the Suns are really going to start eating on these mid-range shots, which is another thing I do want to talk about though, because I don't have the exact number, but it kind of just seemed like the Suns were making every single one of their mid-range shots, and that is kind of one of my concerns that I had with them. If you look back at my playoff predictions video, if the Suns just aren't hitting their mid-range shots, whether they're open or if they're really difficult shots to take, again, they have some really difficult shot makers like Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, but if those shots are just not going in, then the Suns' offense is honestly just very stagnant, and they have to really rely on their defense, which I don't believe is that great. Shout out to the Suns, because it definitely did seem like they hit every single one of their mid-range shots, especially the ones that really mattered, and it's ultimately why they won that game. But even if the Clippers go small ball, are the Suns still going to be able to capitalize with those mid-range shots? I don't think it's sustainable to hit that many mid-range shots. But there you have it. Those are my thoughts on the 3 games that happened tonight. Let me know down below what y'all think. Hopefully you guys enjoy the games. My plan is to also be doing these recap videos after every night of playoff basketball until the season is over. So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more of this type of stuff, make sure to like and sub. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subs by the end of the year, so it would mean a lot. Anyways, I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.